Hey guys, Papa Pete. I want to come on and do a quick video today just because of the big announcement from Atari today that they're going to be releasing an Atari 7800 Plus later on this fall, maybe winter, as well as a bunch of other products. All the information is on their website right now, and I thought it was really cool. I was glad to see that they're carrying on with this line. They're bringing out new things. Is it revolutionary? Well, I'll get into that towards the end of the video. But let's talk about first and foremost what exactly is now going to be available later on this fall. They announced the release, of course, of the system itself, the Atari 7800 Plus, which has got some minor differences than the Atari 2600 Plus. Basically, it's going to come with a wireless gamepad, a 7800 gamepad style. You can get the wired ones before, but now you're going to be able to get a wireless one, which is really cool. And it's also going to come with a game, and the game is Bentley Bears Crystal Quest, which is a little bit of a take on or expansion from Crystal Castles, but the game itself is going to come with that cartridge. That cartridge is going to come with the system, just like the 2600 had the 10-in-1 cartridge of old Atari 2600 games. Coco, please stop chewing on my microphone. It's also going to be available in a bundle package, which has got a few other things with it. Not only does it have the game, the system itself, and the wireless gamepad, but it's going to have a wired joystick and a set of wired paddles. Plus, you're going to get a couple of wireless adapters, expansion or extender cables, I guess is what they call them. So that's pretty neat, and it's a pretty good deal right now because it's $30 off. It's $130, I think, for the system itself, same as the 2600 was. Or right now it's $170 for this bundle. Regular $200, so $30 off. That's a pretty good deal for the pre-order, really. But that's not all. There's also a bunch of other things that are going to be released, which you can buy and pick up right from the Atari website right now. Do your pre-orders whenever you want, but let's take a look at what some of these other things are. Well, first and foremost, you can buy the gamepad by itself, the wireless gamepad, which is pretty neat, and it's compatible with the 2600 Plus, the 7800 Plus, or the 2600 and the or 7800 because it has an adapter to let you do that. Really pretty neat. So if you don't want to buy the whole system, you still can pick up that wireless gamepad. Also, you can now get a wireless joystick for $35. Just a regular CX40 Plus joystick. They add the plus on there because of the wireless. And that will also work on your 2600 Plus, your 2600, your 7800 Plus, or your 7800. So pick those up if that's all you want as well. That's pretty neat to be able to pick up those new things. And games. They've released a whole bunch of new games, or I should say they're releasing a whole bunch of new games. 7800 and 2600 as well, but which will play on any of the systems. The original system, of course, a 7800 game will not play on the 2600 system, but it will play on the 2600 Plus. So when I'm talking about a 7800 programmed game, it will only play on either the 7800, the 7800 Plus, or the 2600 Plus. It will not obviously play on the 2600, but barring that, let's talk about what we have coming. First of all, we have Space Duel, which I can remember playing in the arcade back when I was a little kid, and it was really a pretty fun game. I really did enjoy it quite a bit, so it's neat to see games like that still available from Atari. Really happy to see that one come out. Next up, we have Asteroids Deluxe. Go Jeff's favorite Asteroids game. And that's a really amazing version. It's the version that the Evercade should have had. It said Asteroids Deluxe, but then it had the regular old Asteroids on it from the arcade. But this is the 700 version of Asteroids Deluxe. Really happy to see that one. And then we'll go on to the next one, which is an absolute all-time classic. Also one that they released in a 2600 version, or re-released, I should say. Berserk. Back last year, they released Berserk for the 2600 with the 2600 Plus, and now they're releasing with the 7800 Plus, Berserk 7800. So that's pretty cool. You can't go wrong with Berserk. It's a fantastic game. I like the arcade. I love the 2600 version, frankly. I think I like the 2600 version better than the arcade. I'm not familiar with the 7800 version, but I'm really anxious to see it and can't wait to take a look. But what's even more exciting with that is they're also releasing Frenzy, the follow-up to Berserk. It's really not that easy to find for different systems. So it was available on ColecoVision and a few other systems, but really kind of neat. Frenzy is one that I may very well pick up when all is said and done, once they're all out. Really happy and anxious to check out that game. The next game on the list is Bentley Bears Crystal Quest. follow-up to Crystal Castles is what I believe it is. So, you know, really neat to have that, of course, but that game is coming when you buy the 7800 Plus. If you don't have that, you're not picking up the 7800 Plus, you can buy it on its own for your 2600 Plus or for your 7800. So really kind of neat to be able to add that. Next up, we have a game that I wasn't familiar with at all until about a year and a half ago, and that is Caverns of Mars. When it came out for the Intellivision as a homebrew, I thought, this is a pretty friggin' neat game. I hadn't played it. It was for the Atari 400 back in the day, but now they're releasing it as a 2600 game. So again, it's going to be able to be played on the 2600 Plus, the 700 Plus, the 700, or it will be available, able to be played on on an original 2600 console as well. So what a great game! Flying down through the caverns, picking up the bomb, and taking it out through all the chasms to get it out into space, so you don't get destroyed. It's a really fun game to play, so I'm looking forward to that one as well. Next up is a game I was never very familiar with, the Miner 2049er series of games. Of course, there were a couple different versions. There was the original Miner 2049er and a sequel, but this is another one, Bounty Bob Strikes Back. So is this the sequel or another sequel? I'm not sure, but they're releasing the 700 version anyway. So it's really interesting to see this type of, it's not really a platformer, it's like it reminds me of Lode Runner, Miner 2049er, and games like that. Really kind of neat, and it's good to see that coming out because it's a very great franchise, right? And then we're going to get into a couple games that I found even the most interesting of the whole bunch, because it's great to have these individual games because they're very interesting. But this one is really neat, and it's an Epics game collection. I found it interesting because, of course, this consists of 3 different games: summer games, winter games, and California games. Everybody is very familiar with these games, whether you played them on the Atari or other systems, or most notably the Commodore 64 or the other home computers from the 80s like I did. But, you know, they're weird. They're kind of anomalies because I like the games, but for every game that was really fun to play, there was 1 or 2 that were kind of dogs too, right? So it's still neat to see this come out. And of course, on this cartridge, they're going to put all 3 of them on one cart. So that's a really pretty good deal. And it's going to be able to be played with the 2600 as well. So yeah, right on. And then leading out of the Epics collection, we have the M Network collection, which is dear to my heart. I love M Network games. I'm a big Intellivision guy. Had all the M Network games from my Atari back when I was a kid. Have collected them all since. I have the entire set sitting right over there of M Network games. I just love them. And it's neat to see now that Atari has, first of all, last year they picked up a dozen M Network licenses from Atari, or the rights for the games, not the licenses. The actual rights became Atari property about a year and a half ago. And now, since then, this summer, of course, the entire Intellivision property belongs to Atari. It's really good to see them doing something with them more than just putting them out for the Atari VCS. That being said, this cartridge, the M Network collection, only has 4 games on it. Astro Blast, which is a true gem. It's certainly no Astro Smash by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a neat game, fast-paced game that can be played with the joystick or the paddle. And there aren't very many games like that, really, are there? The other games that are included with this one are Armor Ambush, as well as Star Strike, which is an incredibly good television game, and it's an okay M Network game, certainly not as good as the Intellivision either. But then the last one, you have Frogs and Flies, which is a beloved game by kids back in the day, whether it's Frog Bog for the original Intellivision, which had a lot of different elements and more better gameplay as a whole, but still the Frogs and Flies, as it was called for M Network for the Atari 2600, was highly thought of. It was very easy to play, and it was frankly a lot of fun. So it's great to see those 4 games coming out in this collection. That being said, could there be more? I mean, there are quite a few more than 4 titles. There's over a dozen titles, and really, it doesn't say M Network Collection 1, it just says M Network Collection. Yes, there's a lot of licensed games that wouldn't be able to come out, but I think they could have probably put more than just these 4 games on the cart. I would think they probably should have, to make it a little bit more appealing to people. And if the answer is somebody thinking, oh, well, they probably couldn't put many more than that on there, well, then we have the last game that I'm going to talk about here today. They've announced that Real Sports Collection is coming, which is really neat. It's 7 different sports. I got to get this right now. It's football, baseball, basketball, boxing, volleyball, tennis, and boxing. So hey, I got them all without looking. So that's pretty good. All great games, you know, for back in the day. They had had lots of time to work on the Atari 2600 system by that point. They had programmed for it for nearly 10 years before they ever produced any of these games, so they could get the maximum capabilities out of the system that they possibly could when they created these games. So I think this title is very worth a purchase. 7 games, 1 cart. Yeah, this one's going to be worth it. So yeah, really excited to see that one coming. So let's get back to something I alluded to right off the get-go when I started this. And is the Atari 7800 Plus release anything revolutionary? Well, the wireless controllers are pretty neat addition. They're new, but you know, you could buy those individually. What is the Atari 7800 Plus bringing to you that the Atari 2600 Plus hasn't already done? And the answer is pretty much absolutely nothing. There's nothing that you don't get. If you didn't buy the Atari 7800 Plus, you just bought like a couple wireless controllers and maybe the Crystal Castle or Crystal Castles game, Bentley Bear Crystal Caves, you bought it on its own, you could use your old Atari 2600 Plus. There's no difference in the 2600 Plus than there is the 7800 Plus. There's no difference. They're the same system with a different plastic wrapping on it, basically. There's nothing you could do with the 700 Plus that you can't do with the 2600 Plus. But I know how much collectability means to people. I know there's nostalgia out there for people with the 7800. I don't have that nostalgia with the 7800. Do I still like to get things like that? Yeah, I really do. I'd love to have one. I may get one. I'm not jumping right off, and I may wait till I can get a better price or something like that. And I could wait for sure because there's not going to be anything I can't play. But like the 2600, that was my first system. I had nostalgia for that, even though there wasn't anything really new I couldn't play with it. I wanted it. I had to have it. I pre-ordered it. But then again, even though I pre-ordered it and I've had one since, I think mine actually showed up 2 days before the official release here in Canada. Here it is. It's still in the Amazon box where I got it from last November. Here it is, August 2024. I've had this for 9-10 months. I haven't even opened it yet. So do I need to get this 7800? No, it'll probably sit in the box for quite a while. You know, I don't know. Is it worth it to you? Collectability, if that's your priority, by all means, I think they're good products. They will be updated. I recommend that if you want this system, you don't have any of the other ones, yeah, it's a great system. It's going to let you play HDMI, play all your old carts, let you play the new carts they're making. So am I going to say I don't recommend it? Well, you got to figure out why you're getting it. For me, right now, it's not something that I need. Will I want one? Yes. Will I get one? Maybe. Well, maybe not too. So anyway, I tell you, and what is really good to see is that they're still making these new systems. Will we see a 5200 Plus? Well, you say different size cartridges, not quite the same, blah, 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 blah. But we had the 400 Plus, right? Or not the the Atari 400 Plus. And that basically plays 5200 games. So will we see a 5200 Plus? Maybe we will. Who knows? But anyway, I mean, the 5200 games and the Atari 400 games are very, very similar, right? They should be able to play the two. So will we see it? I don't know. Maybe we will. But frankly, I have the Atari 400 Plus. I got it back on a pre-order and got it the day of release. And it's also sitting over there in the package, not even open. So anyway, Atari 7800 Plus, really excited to see that come out. Excited to see new games from Atari. Excited to see Atari working away and building and expanding upon this wonderful retro lineup that they've created. Kudos to them. They've done an amazing job with all these things. I was lucky enough last year at PRGE to meet Ben Jones, who was the designer of the original system. For the 2600 Plus, really interesting to talk to. So maybe, I don't know if he's also working on this one, but my guess is that he probably is. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot for spending a little bit of time here today. I will be playing some Atari 7800 games on my channel and some upcoming streams, so stop in if you're around. Or if you missed them, go back and watch the replays of those 7800 streams. I'm really anxious because, like I said before, I have not played this system very much. I don't have any nostalgia for it, but I'm anxious and I love these retro games so much. I'm really excited to play the different games. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining Coco and I here today for a few minutes, and we will see you in the next video. You take care.
The old ass gamer. If you have been grown up by the
Hey, this is Ferg from the Atari 2600 Game by Game podcast, and you are watching Papa Pete, the old guy gamer.
What the hell?